NATO has ordered its military commanders to intensify preparations to defend allied territory, putting hundreds of warplanes and ships on alert, and at the same time agreeing to increase troop numbers on its eastern flank. The NATO chief has said he had convened a virtual emergency summit of the alliance's 30 countries. The alliance will be joined by the leaders of Sweden, Finland, European Union institutions. Remember, Ukraine is not a member of the alliance. There are no NATO troops in the country, but NATO is now set to step up its plans to deploy capabilities and forces to Eastern European countries, including the High Combat Readiness NATO Response Force. Not just that, NATO is also planning to create combat units similar to those already set up in the Baltic states and Poland.
Today, the North Atlantic Council decided to activate our defense plans at the request of our top military commander, General Todd Walters. This is a prudent and defensive step to protect and shield allied nations during this crisis. And it will enable us to deploy capabilities and forces, including the NATO response force, to where they are needed.
Now, this comes after the NATO member states Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania triggered NATO Article 4. What is the Article 4? It allows members to hold consultations when they feel that their territorial integrity is under threat. Article 4 has been invoked 6 times since the alliance was formed. However, it is separate from Article 5, which is the NATO's declaration that an attack against one member is considered an attack against all. Some NATO members have already sent troops, aircraft and warships to the Black Sea region. These troops are on high alert near allies Bulgaria, Romania as well as Turkey. The Pentagon has also put up to 8,500 US troops on heightened alert, so they will be prepared to be deployed if needed to reassure other allies. Let's get in further inputs now from our correspondent, Susan Tehrani, who's with us on the broadcast live from New York. Susan, what are you picking up on these measures that the American president is set to announce? He will also be meeting the G7 allies.
U.S. President Joe Biden is currently meeting with his national security advisors, and later he will meet with his G7 colleagues and allies. After that, we're expected to hear from the president publicly about the measures that he's planning on taking against Russia. And we're being told that these measures are supposed to be those unprecedented measures that the United States has never imposed against Russia until now. The United States and its allies acknowledge that this is indeed a full-on invasion against Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. They are concerned about Ukraine's high-ranking officials, including the president's safety and other high-ranking officials. As you mentioned, many MPs and others, individuals, basically, ordinary Ukrainians are fleeing the country. They're concerned about the refugee crisis it's going to cause for those who are neighbors of Ukraine. And I think that these are issues that not only the president is going to talk to with his G7 allies, but we're going to hear more about here in New York from the United Nations in the coming hours and days as well. But a lot is going to be on the table for Joe Biden to explain not only to the public, to the international community, about how he wants to make the liberal world order prevail from what he sees as Putin's authoritarian regime really trying to hinder into Ukraine, but also convince the American public that these measures, these harsh measures that he's planning on taking against Russia, how they will impact the ordinary and average American people, energy prices, notably gas prices, hence inflation, and why Americans should care about it. And I think that that will be very telling. Remember, only 28% of Americans, according to a recent poll, believe that America has a stake in Ukraine, and convincing this public is very important.
Susan Tehrani with us, getting us those inputs from New York. We're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for now.